With the power of AI, you can make your marketing come alive. Just with a few clicks of a button, you can turn a marketing campaign from good to great. Join us for the revolution. With artificial intelligence, let's make your marketing come to life. CEOcoffee.com.
Welcome to the Koffe Brown Show, where we stir up conversations as rich as your morning coffee.
What's good? What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome to this week's edition of the Koffe Brown Show. I'm your hostess with the mostest, and I got these people in the building with me on tonight. Super excited to have some of the posse in. Jason Fibnibs is out, and so is Vincent. They keep calling Vincent every Thursday for something or another. And I told him I'm tired of sharing with these people, these educational people. So they need to leave that man alone. Period. How y'all doing tonight?
Doing well.
Pretty good.
Yeah. What's going on, Japria? You've been out of the building for a couple of weeks. We're trying to figure out what's going on. Welcome back.
I'm happy to be back. I love being here. It's always a good time when I'm here.
Listen, you ain't come for, it's not just a good time. It ain't even a long time, okay? Not just a good time. It ain't even a long time. That's Shanika, what's popping, girl? What's good with you?
None, man. I'm happy. I'm happy to be here with y'all. Happy, but that's always thing.
That's what's up. And there he is, the voice of DFG himself. Y'all give him some snap claps. Mr. Jason Williams is in the building. Y'all snap clap. Mr. Jason Williams.
How y'all doing? How y'all doing?
What's up?
Ready to start this show? Let's talk. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Let's talk about it. Yeah. So, this might come across a little controversial. So we got a special co-host tonight who's going to take the conversation. She done been to school and everything. And we're going to let her do this thing tonight.
She done been to school and everything.
She done been to school and everything. So we're going to let her take the reins on tonight and lead this conversation. But before we do that, I just want to know, why y'all president making threats? I just want to know. Somebody need to help me to clearly understand who him is.
Well, he's never been presidential, so he's just the president.
I don't think he know. Yeah, I don't think he know who he is. So
that's problem number one.
Yeah, somebody need to help me understand, because I am very, very not clear as to what's going on in America. Because I was like, dude, how is it? I was like, I'm trying to understand how this is even legal.
It's not.
At this point, what is legal? What is legal and what's illegal at this point?
Did we make some new rules, some new laws, or
I think it happened while we were resting. The time keeps speeding up. Everything just changed. A lot of things. Yeah. How are we already at Thursday? The week just started.
Monday was yesterday, but it's Thursday.
Yeah.
Speeding.
Easter was yesterday.
I mean, yesterday was Saturday. And then today is Friday. Who knows? It's out of control at this point, y'all. It's completely out of control.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm just seriously amazed by the president, y'all. I'm not even joking about that. I am traumatized.
And can you tell me why you're amazed?
See, that's the doctor. I don't have a couch over here to lay on right now.
You have been proven over and over again the character of this man. So why are you amazed?
Well, I guess I was hoping that he had some level of decorum, maybe. Some.
I've been hearing the Trump name since I was a little kid in New York, and none of it has ever been good.
Okay. Well, on that note, on that note,
what about your family? Okay, what?
Let's get into this conversation. So tonight, two of the troublemakers are not going to be present. I know y'all love it when Jason is here, and other Jason and Vincent are here, but they're not going to be posing any problems tonight. But I do believe that Dupria is going to make up for their absence when we get into this conversation.
Interrupt the pattern. Interrupt.
I know, right? It is a lot of pressure, but you can handle it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're the natural goddess. I mean, how can you not?
For sure.
Period. Dr. Shamika, get into it. I yield my mic.
Well. So first of all, it was enough that we talked about your friends. What about your friend?
What? It's about to get spicy.
Well, okay.
Trouble is in the house. Trouble is in the house.
What's up? Oh my goodness. I didn't think I was gonna get all of that when I logged in. You know?
We literally was just talking about you a half second
I'm
ago,
scared.
and you got on the stage.
I'm scared. Talking about me for what? What did I do?
We needed
now?
you here though. We needed you.
Okay, what we talking
For this
about?
conversation. We needed you.
Yeah, for
Okay.
sure. And we said all the good things.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I know. Go ahead and laugh because I feel like I got lied to.
Right.
Yes,
We would never lie to you. Never.
All right, baby face.
Right.
See, I told you it was about to get spicy. I told you.
Y'all started it. I just logged in. I'm trying to play catch up. What's up?
Look, Dupria said
right
that
on
she's not gonna
time.
be able to
Right
handle
on time.
Dupria said she wasn't gonna be able to handle the responsibility of stirring the pot.
But why not?
She said
that's your job.
That's just bigger shoes to fill.
Okay. Well, we stirring then. What's up?
He
See?
said,
Well,
he said, "What's up?"
look, and we're not gonna go back to what we was talking about because I'm telling you, y'all, Jason will go off for like 10 minutes about this topic of the president. So we're gonna just we're gonna go straight.
It goes right on along with the conversation when we speak on family. And his name is tied to,
that's true.
Foolishness. So
that's very true.
Chaos.
We can just infuse them into the dialogue then.
So give your 2 cents about Trump and what he has going on.
Because my question was, I just said I don't understand about the president making threats, like just an average regular Joe just making threats. I don't understand. I can't process it.
Right. Oh, you looking for my response? Oh, I thought you said you weren't going back. Okay, yeah. So basically, I don't have a problem with somebody making threats. Genuinely. This is where I do have the problem though. When you go and you're the one that starts it, you started this. And then you double down and start talking noise like you're really running the show. When somebody fights back, that shows a lot of fragility. That shows how weak you really was. The fact that they're sitting here fighting back and now you want to sit here and resort to threats. The way that he's threatening people. Now, it's one thing if they messed with us and we saying we're going to wipe you out or something like that. But you went and stuck your foot in the ant bed. You getting bit up now. You got other people who are turning their back on you and not standing with you. Then you're going to turn around and throw a threat out there. That just shows weakness to me. That's a very weak man. That's a very ignorant man. I have no respect for him. I wouldn't even want to be in the same room with him. or anybody who acts like that. You don't sit here and you don't throw that mess out there and go start stuff and then go play victim later, then want to act like you the tough guy. That just doesn't work.
The rocks and hide your hand.
Yeah, I have no respect for people who do that kind of stuff. If you're gonna throw it out there, stay out there.
Right.
Take what comes with it.
Stand on it.
Throwing the rocks and hide your hand.
See, that wasn't 10 minutes. That was quick.
You did good, Jason. I'm proud.
But you came with the pressure, so we already knew what to expect.
I have issues with dealing with people who continuously do ignorant things and then sit here and act like what they did was great. I have issues with people who try to bully other people. You know what I mean? There's no reason for that. You went and started something. You can't get mad at somebody for taking up for themselves when you're the one that went and started it. I mean, you went and tore up the agreement. You went and, you know what I'm saying, threw your hand out there. I guess you thought this was going to be Venezuela, and you found out real quick it wasn't. They've been waiting on us.
Yep.
Well, let's get into it, Dr. Shamika.
Well. So,
Doctor.
Interesting topic that we have, and I think we all are going to enjoy this discussion because we already I don't even think we made it to the end of the segment when we recorded what about your friends. We weren't even supposed to go there, but we did. And
did.
Oh Lord, she froze on us.
No, she froze on us.
She makes a good, solid figure.
Oh, dang. So she's going to have to come back.
Yeah, come on, Doctor.
Man, Doctor.
I wanted to hear what she had to say.
Yeah, because she was getting ready to get in it, for real. Right.
That baby said, what about your friends?
And then she went on silent. So let's get into it. Let's get into it. So we did, hopefully she'll be able to come back and it'll be just fine when she gets back in the system.
Damn, so I can't hear nobody.
You can't hear anything? Debria, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So here comes Jason back. Okay, it looks like we had a little bit of technical stuff going on. All right, so Jason's got to come back in too. So I guess the technology disconnected for some weird reason, but let's get into this though. So we did start off talking about what about your friends? That was the topic that we had for a couple of weeks where we were talking about relationships with our friends and how they actually impact our life's journey. You know, what's the deal with the friendships that we have, how we're able to partner with them, if we're able to partner with them, and if it's people that we're actually going to be able to take with us for the duration of our journey versus people that we need to go ahead and release in our lives. So what about your family? We wanted to talk a little bit about this because a lot of times we don't really address the concerns or the challenges that we have with family as we navigate through our life of business and business and professionalism and trying to accomplish things to change the trajectory of our generations and so on and so forth. But I'm giving it back to Dr. Shamika because she's back and she's ready to get it in. So I'm not going to even hold the mic. Go ahead, lady. Let's get to it.
They don't want us to talk about this. That's because what was trying to happen there?
They don't want us to be right.
Let's talk about this, but we're gonna do that though, because we need to understand when it comes to trying to create generational wealth. Learning healthy boundaries, learning how to, be responsible in our roles in our families, having healthy relationships amongst, those in our family. Like, we need all this to be discussed. And why I was trying to keep me from talking about it is crazy. But so I want to pose a question. If in your family, in your structure, in your lineage right now, how do you feel you play a role in your family when it comes to creating, sometimes, I know a lot of times we have to pivot in our families because the dynamics are not always the same. So how does your role look like in your family when it comes to, getting those around you, your children, on board to seeing bigger than what we see in front of us? What role do you play in that? What role do you play in creating generational wealth? What role do you play in the structure of your household, getting everybody on board with where our family dynamic should go. What role do you see yourself playing, Dapria? You bossing over there. What role are you playing?
This is a great question, and I think that I can answer for me being the grandchild or the child in my immediate family. So my dad family, we have a really big family. And when I started like changing and really showing up as my authentic self in all my fullness and greatness, it caused a shock to everybody in many ways because of my lifestyle, the way I am, and me being able to advocate for myself and speak up, but in, a polite way, always be able to communicate effectively. And I think that because I am the child or the grandchild, it took time for my family to adjust to me showing up in that. So from the way that I choose to raise my children or my way of life, that was a lot for my family to adjust to. And now they're more so in a space where they open to receive because they see like, okay, she's not just doing something, or it's not just a phase, or she's not going too far left. She's very much so on a righteous path. So it took some time for them to adjust to accepting the seriousness of what I bring to the family. And any of them now, they're able to listen to me with open ears versus saying, oh, she's the grandchild, or she's the child, or she's the niece or whatever. So it took some time to adjust in that aspect when it comes to my boundaries and the standards that I set for my life. And if you decide that you want to be a part of this life, you're going to have to get with the program. So now they accept it, they open to it a lot more. But previously it was a lot of chaos. But I wasn't giving in, and I wasn't going to allow what they think I should be, or how I should be, or how I should raise my kids change what I believe for myself. So just being able to stand in what you believe in with your family, that is hard. That is hard. You face so much judgment, especially if they have a traditional or a conventional way of life and you decide to be a different way. You get a lot of backlash. You get a lot of unwanted opinions and people trying to tell you this and tell you that. And if you're not strong in who you are and whose you are, then you will give in. So that was a huge adjustment for me being all of Dapria and not allowing the outside noise change who I am. And in fact, it made them be better and do better.
Yeah. And I find that to be, we have similar stories and background. And I know within my family, everybody is just, which nothing is wrong with, we all go out and we are employees, we're working for someone else. We are there, to grow in those positions at our companies, at the organizations that we're part of. We were told to go and, retire from these places, so that's the mindset of a lot of our families and the family members that we have. But when life changed for me and I had to, I got to figure this out and quickly. So that's when, I've always been one who wanted to strive for more, go for greatness. And once I became a mom, it was like, okay, you have to do more than what you are doing and what you're used to, because you want to enjoy your family. I want to work, enjoy my children when they get older. And as they start having children, I want to be able to be at home and be healthy and well enough to, see about them and enjoy them and have fun. But usually you don't get to see that because you don't work yourself like a dog. For everybody else's businesses, they've already built the vision, they have a mission, the plan was set, and you're just adding to what they're doing. But what about the purpose that was placed inside of you? How are you fulfilling that if you're constantly going and making somebody else's name, organization, their employer better, but you have put yours to the side? How are you, doing that? And so when I was like, what, I'm going to actually fulfill the purpose that God created me to do, getting your family to get on board with that can be a struggle because, again, it's always about, we've been told you go to work and you retire. But that is not the case anymore. Our world is changing. We're seeing it right in our face right now. We better have something else going on other than going to somebody's employer. We better have something else happening. We better have another stream of income. We better be thinking about generational wealth. And if we're not, there's somebody around you to, provoke you to do more, to do greater. And it's a struggle because that's not everybody's identity. That's not everybody's passion. But you want your family to do well. And once they see that, oh, she is serious about this, she has results, then they'll come along, because I'm that person. I tell everybody, I don't care like who it is, in respect, of course, but I am the outspoken one. I will speak my mind. And this has been a thing like we need to get serious about. We really do need to get serious. And you'll hear now, like my family, they call and like, okay, well, what you think about this? What's your thoughts on this? How can I get here? Or how can I, move along in what my passion is? So I love that. It was a struggle, but now, everybody's like, okay, we might need to lean into what she's doing, what she got going on, and what she's saying. We may need to go ahead and see how we can get further as well. So, Jason Williams, what you thinking?
In my totality, from childhood till now, and I'm only 27.
Okay.
But
and we had to pay extra for shipping, so add all that together.
Jason face.
Just add the shipping, everybody, not just the tag.
Oh my gosh.
I just had to throw that in there. But to grow up the way I did, I was probably the black sheep, the wild child, the one that just did whatever he wanted to do. I was the one that stayed in trouble, always was in the middle of something. But I think as I grew up and things transitioned for me, and I learned some things over the years, I believe now my immediate family, as well as my extended family, they see me differently. And they respect that difference because they see the reality of my total life. I am definitely one for multiple streams of income. I 100% represent that every day. When it comes to my kids, I try to teach them the same principles I've learned. The principles that took me till 30, 40 years old to learn, I'm teaching them now in their 20s, because I want them to experience an exponential life a lot earlier. Like point in making, my daughter last year purchased her first home, and she's 26. My son is doing his thing. He's working, he's saving, but I've always told my kids, you can stay home as long as you need to, as long as you're saving. If I don't see money in your accounts, you got to go, because clearly you don't care about the principles we're trying to teach you. I don't want my kids to go out and rent. I want them to go out and buy, so they can build equity within themselves and start their own wealth. I'm looking at the opportunities of building wealth, and I'm teaching, like I said, I'm teaching them all of the things that I'm learning, or putting everything in a trust, managing everything but owning nothing. So then that way, no one can take anything from you. So at the stage that I'm in right now, I believe my job is just to continue to lead. And it's not just my kids. I'm teaching my nephews, my nieces, everybody that I can get information to, I'm telling this to, because I think our community has been, first of all, we were behind from the start. That's number one. But the reality is we lack the information. And I think it's coming out a lot more in the last few years, but I don't think a lot of people believe it. And until they see it, it's hard for people to say, well, is that really real? Does it really work? So I'm trying to be the evidence for my family. And that's just the way I see it.
I love that. I love that. And as I was, reading over the notes, another point that was made and you just alluded to is, the habits, you had some things that you were taught, you grew up in, and now for our children, we're like, no, we're breaking that habit. That's unhealthy to think, to be, and to move through life in that way. So, Jason T, what unhealthy habits have you had to break or, share with your children, your family, in order for them to move forward without, learning the lessons that you had to?
Well, for one, I definitely try to talk to my kids about any unhealthy habits that I may have or have had, because I'm a constant work in progress. For one, I have not been delivered yet. I have not arrived. You will never sit here and have me sit here and say, here's the finished product. No, this is in motion. This is a constant motion, and we're going to keep working towards that. But no, I mean, one of my biggest challenges, like for the people who've had or been around me or had deep conversations with me, will also know that I have challenges at times with my tone when I talk. I mean, things of that nature. I try to work with my daughters on watching their tone, watching their temperament. One of the things that I definitely push is being present. Being active. You know what I'm saying? Try. Don't just sit back and just expect things to happen because you said hello or something like that. No, go for it. If it's something that's going to benefit you, you put yourself out there and do it. Not in a dangerous way or anything like that, but you got to let them know that you're truly interested in it. Like say, for instance, if you're going for a job or an intern or whatever else, if you call somebody and say that you're interested, they say they're going to call you back on a particular day. I mean, this person already working, they're busy, they have families, they have whatever else. If they miss that day that they're going to call you, maybe the day after or 2 days after that, you call them back and say, hey, maybe I missed your call or whatever, but just trying to see where we are with this. Don't sit here and sit on your hands and sit here and talk about, well, they said they was going to call me back. And one of my main questions I ask people is like, does this benefit you or does it benefit them? If it's something that you want because it benefits you, then you need to get off your cheeks and, make sure that you make a phone call and let them know that how interested you really are. Mm-hmm. You don't have to pester anybody, but, you got to try. And if you're not willing to try and put your best foot forward, then you will consistently fail. Mm. Cursing is another one. Hey, I've been working on that. I haven't cursed too much on the show. I thought I've done pretty good. Why are you laughing like that, Jason?
I'm very proud of
Hey, I am very proficient in multiple languages. I speak English, Ebonics, and curse very well. I'm very trilingual. Actually, I could probably add on and go to 4 to 5 different languages, but I speak those 3 very fluently. They have a tendency at times to intertwine, but hey, you'll know what I'm saying and you know where I'm standing, right?
Ooh, not the cursing ministry, the cursing.
Not the cursing.
Well, I'm not cursing you. I'm just cussing, but whatever.
The cussing
I'm not gonna curse you.
Give us the same cursing. The cussing.
Excuse me, cussing. P. Koffe, patterns. What's some unhealthy patterns? What you have to say about that?
I wanted to go back to the other question first.
Okay, well, let's talk about it. What's your role?
Because it does lead into the pattern. So for myself, the answer to that is to finish what has been started. In other words, for generations, our family would start and then nobody finished out what was started. And that is a for real unhealthy habit, even though they're not finishing was a result of them having to pivot to something else, but the something else didn't prohibit them from finishing what they started. So, I think taking the full accountability of running the race with the baton all the way across the finish line, even if you have to fall to the finish line or crawl to the finish line, whatever the case might be, it was a matter of getting it done. Like, for instance, my mom went to college. She didn't finish. My grandmother got in there for just a little bit. She didn't finish. My great grandmother didn't have her education, and it was all the firstborn girls. So when it came to me, that pattern started initially because I kind of launched into having my family really young and things like that. But at the end of the day, I had to sit down and process how this would impact my children's future and the past presence of our legacy. You can't just say, oh, I couldn't do it. I had the kids. I had this. I had that. I had to, remove the extenuating circumstances as the reason for not completing. Because I could have said, well, our house burned down, my husband died, I could have used a lot of reasons as to why not. But then I had to ask myself, well, why can you, and how can you overcome whatever you need to overcome to get it done? And that's what I did. So I had to wait to do it because my husband retired me at 28, and then he passed away like 6 years after that. So the plan didn't plan out the way that we thought it was going to work itself out. Nonetheless, that was still irrelevant because at the end of the day, somebody's got to finish. You can't just keep dropping a baton and saying, well, maybe somebody will pick it up. Hopefully somebody will pick it up. You can continue to do that. So I had to finish what was being started. And that is a huge thing that I needed to present to my daughters because they needed to see me get across that finish line. And once I got through with my bachelor's, I was like, well, no need of me stopping now. I may as well keep going. And I got my master's. So I was like, well, no need of me stopping there. May as well keep going. And just having those opportunities to do something significantly different was going to be the catalyst of the transformative change. And then, like my mom, she started a business. She wasn't able to keep the business going over time, things like that. So I said, well, I can't just start a business and not keep it going. So I got to keep the business going. And if I decide I'm going to pivot out of that industry, I need to find another business to get into, or whatever the case might be, to keep it going. I couldn't just stop. My son was like, well, he asked me the other day, he said, well, how do you balance everything that you do? And how were you able to? And I finally told him, I said, I kind of had this homing device inside of my head and my heart kind of forcing me to do it. Like, even when I didn't want to do it, that device was still there. And now it's a different kind of, I shared in my stories today, it's a different kind of pressure at this point, because it's not the pressure to perform, it's the pressure of what am I leaving behind? Because I look at where I am now at the tender age of 27 plus tax tag and shipping. And I come to realize that I have less time in front of me than I had behind me. So now that question goes into, what is my footprint going to be in the Brown family, not my maiden name's family, but my family name family, if that makes sense. So yeah. I had to kind of step out of, well, I'm my dad's daughter, to, okay, now I have to do this for the family that me and Mr. Brown decided that we were going to create, even though he's gone. You know what I mean? So even when I remarry and identify another purpose person and take the journey with somebody else's son, I'm not going to procreate in the capacity of tiny humans. So I still had to kind of think about, well, what is this going to look like as far as the family dynamic is concerned? So the pressure is no longer on performing. It's about scaling and making certain that business can be shifted to them without it having a lapse somewhere. So it's now the new tools that I am learning and implementing are to make certain that there's no holes. Because, if you think about it, if you have holes and they're not plugged in, eventually it's going to cause all types of different mold, and other things are going to creep in. It could be some ugly critters that show up, and all the things that you really don't want to see manifest are going to show up by default, because you physically see the holes, but you're choosing not to plug them. So that was the next thing. So those two kind of questions kind of intertwined for me. And lastly, you know, there was challenges with obesity in our family throughout the course of the generations. And that was another thing that had to be rectified. And like Jason and I were talking about this, I think some years ago, Jason Williams and I, we were talking about health stuff happening in family historically, and then being, you know, predisposed to certain aspects of that, whether you want to or not. It's just literally inside of your DNA, and how to overcome that. Just because the predisposal is there doesn't mean you have to buy into it. You still have to figure out, well, how do I alleviate myself from this? Even though it's predisposed, I know it's a proclivity for it to show up. It does not mean that I have to have the experience. So what are the things that I can do that will prevent me from ultimately having this experience? And so that's the things that I've had to navigate through and work through and figure out, and all those things, because I'm thick in the hips and sweet in the lips. So I mean, it is what it is. I'm not no thin chick. I ain't never been a thin chick. I don't want to be on the thin end of the rib. I'm okay with being on the thick end of the rib, but if you're gonna be on the thick end of the rib, it needs to be some muscle on that in the rib. Period. It don't need to be just, you know, the fatty part of the rib. Like, let me get the thick end of the rib without the fat, please. So, you know, just to pray cracking up, but it's true, man. It's, you know, just I had to make a conscientious choice, and it's a fact. You know, like I just tell people like this, and I'm gonna give it back to you. The same way you get up and you brush your teeth is the same way I look at exercising. So if I'm gonna get up and brush my teeth, then I'm gonna work out, period. It's not a question. I may have to do a little variation of it from time to time, but the same way I'm getting up to brush my teeth, I'm gonna exercise, period. No excuses.
Yep. Some way, form, or fashion, we have to do that. That's another great tool that we need to, you know, tap into as well. Working out, especially being, you know, bosses, you know, we have families, we're playing all these different roles, but we're fatigued because we are not taking care of our bodies. So we need to, that's a point right there. We need to work out just like we brushing them teeth. We need to do that.
Period. I mean, no excuse. I mean, it's like, you know, you get up, you brush your teeth. Okay, I'm working out. I mean, it's like, it has to be second, whatever your choice is and whatever your decision is, it has to be second nature. You know, the Priya was talking about the family dynamic, and then Jason was talking about certain patterns, and then Jason Williams was talking about being 27 forever. You know, all those things. In order for that stuff to come to pass, you got to make a decision, and you have to stay married to that decision. If you divorce the decision, then you may dissolve your destiny. I'm going to say that again. If you divorce the decision, you may dissolve your destiny. That is copyright 2026 at 8:39 on April 9th.
Snap. Okay. I like
y'all know how to go
okay, alliterations.
I love it. So I want to read a statement that I saw in our notes today. So it says, a lot of family dysfunction comes from people playing roles that were never assigned or refusing to grow into the ones that they were. When I thought about the fact that so many of us miss the mark, so many of us miss where we should be going, we miss out on, you know, the blessings, we miss out on tapping into another level of ourselves because we just refuse to. We refuse to grow. That is the hardest thing, you know, for people even to see that they belong anywhere. It's hard to show people, hey, this is the way, this is where you should tap into. It is hard for them to even see that. And sometimes we'll overwork ourselves. We'll try to overplay our parts in people's lives because we want them to see, hey, come on, you need to come on with it. I see this in you. I see you being, you know, going here. But if they don't see it, if they're refusing to grow in the area, how much more can you give in trying to play your role in their life? Even your children. how much more are you supposed to give before you like, that's enough? Jason T, how much more should you give?
Shoot, whatever your limit is. I mean, that just depends. I mean, at some point, everybody reaches a limit, reaches that limit at some point. Some people have a little more patience than others. Some people are more forgiving than others. But once you reach that point, especially if you're dealing with your kids and they're grown and in your house, so it might be time to have that tough conversation. Like Jason Williams was saying, hey, you know what? Let me help you get a house because you got to get the hockey sticks out of here. You know what I'm saying? Because, when you get too many adults in one space, if y'all not going in the same direction, that's chaos. And I don't do good with chaos, Yeah, like I remember earlier, I was referencing that temperament. Whenever I feel unheard or whenever I'm trying to communicate and stuff, at some point, that frustration sets in and you try to handle it the best way that you can. But when you get to a certain point, it just is what it is. I mean, I don't know if there's actually a good way to say it. When you reach a breaking point, something has to change.
And so I was thinking about this, the burnout. I'm going to be the first one to say, you trying to tell your kids something and where you see that they should go and grow. And then it's like, you know what, I'm tired. I'm throwing my hands up with it. Mm-hmm. Now, how do you pivot, changing from, hey, this is what I'm trying to show you. This is the way I think that you should go. And now you have to kind of like take a step back. And I almost to myself, I told my kids this the other day, I almost have to make myself feel like I just don't even care.
Yeah.
To, move along in a way to where one day they will remember that I did plant that seed, but, and that's it. I need to pray about it and move on from it because now I'm burnt out, stressed out, depressed, and sad and down because they're not doing or they're not going in the direction that I think they should go. And now I'm missing out on what I'm supposed to be doing, the purpose that I'm supposed to be fulfilling. And I'm not moving because I'm worried about where they're going. Dapria, you have babies, and I don't know if you're quite there yet, but even with them being in school, I mean, with grades and you teaching them, you're homeschooling. How do you feel about that?
Well, I'm not quite where y'all are per se, but I think that effective communication is everything. My children are 5 years apart. So they all need something different. They all need a different level of communication, right? So with my son, he's 16. And when I tell him something, I communicate with him. I tell him, like, listen, this journey, especially like right now, with him being a teenager and we're very close to the, graduating, I'm like, listen, this is the time we have to keep our relationship close-knit. Our communication needs to be like this. You got to understand I'm here to guide, help, protect, all these things. But if our connection is not like this and you're not listening to what I'm saying and taking what I'm saying and using it in a sense of guidance for protection and navigation, then you may drift off to the other side. And then when you have to come back over here, it's like, this is why I said what I said the first time. So I don't really have an issue with him because he listened to what I'm saying. I could tell him one time and it's gonna be what it's gonna be. And we have had moments where I'm like, okay, listen, this is why our communication is so important. My 10-year-old, she's in a different stage of her life when it comes to just household chores and the things that she needs to have embedded in her as a young lady, and I had to keep pulling her back right. Like, listen, I'm not going to keep telling you the same thing. These are the standards of the house. These are the standards of your daily routine, your night routine, your body care. This is the foundation of it. It's not going to change. So I need you to adapt to these things. And then we have to revisit some other things. So the communicating with them and making sure that we're on the same page. And when I see that they're going left, okay, we're going to bring it back here. And then that little 6-year-old, it's a different story because she's coming into herself and she's more aware of her being. And yeah, she'll different coffee note, she'll different little situation. But I think that with
situation, for sure.
Yeah, baby, ain't no situation.
She is a situationship, honey. You got to meet her for sure.
That baby is a lady. Is a lady.
She is very much so.
She's very much so.
But she's Juju, and she think that you gotta call her Princess Juju. Okay, so yes, it's Princess Juju to everyone, and it's gonna be her way, and I have to like break it down and sit her down and be a little bit more patient with her. But just overall, when it comes to where my children are, it's just being able to communicate in the way that they're able to receive. So we're all on the same page, because y'all know, all of y'all children are older, grown, in different stages of their lives. Yeah.
And so with, the roles that we play and how we can extend ourselves in these roles sometimes, where are some areas where you feel like, this is not even my responsibility. This is not even the role I'm supposed to be playing. How do you let go when you're carrying something that is not even yours? This role is not yours. This responsibility is no longer yours. How do you cut that off, Jason? Jason.
How do you cut that off? Cut it off. Like with a pair of scissors, a knife, an axe, do whatever you got to do. Cut it off. And the reason why I say that is because I guess I'm a little different. Because even when it comes to my kids, I'm gonna show you the left and I'm gonna show you the right. You pick whichever path you want to go down. I'm gonna support you, but you gonna live with those consequences, whatever they are.
Red pill, blue pill, right?
Right. Honestly, I'm gonna tell you from my personal experience, if you go this route, this is probably what's gonna happen. If you go this route, this is probably what's gonna happen. And I know as a father, that's pretty much how we probably process, because I know my children's mother, or mothers are different. They're nurturers. So they want to tell the children what to do. And I'm like, at the stage that we're at as parents, we have to let go. We have to, because you will basically disembowel your kids from decision making. And they will never progress properly because they will never feel comfortable making a decision. And it's like that even for some family members. If someone always comes to you before they make a decision, some of that you have to just let, not answer the phone. Don't answer the text message. Don't answer the email, so that they can say, don't worry about it. I figured it out. Because if you don't, you are going to be the crutch, or I'll say it like this, even better. There are a lot of situations we take over for God to help people out because we think we know. And what ends up happening is some circumstances people have to go through because that's a God plan for them to grow up. And if you don't allow them to go through those God plans, then you have to suffer the consequences with them because you stepped in to be their God.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've been there. That's how I know. I'm trying to help people, and I'm like, why can't I seem to, with all the things that I do, I cannot seem to get this right. Why? Because I'm involved in something I shouldn't be involved in.
Yeah.
I put myself in a position to play somebody else's God, and God is like, oh, you want to be God? Okay, cool. Well, now you suffer their consequence.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you have to know. Go ahead, Jason. Because I just
no, go ahead.
And then you have to understand whose right it is. Who is it? My right to be in control of this aspect? Is this exactly what my assignment is? You have to kind of identify once they become adults. The positioning is totally different. I actually went to therapy to figure it out, because as they become adults, you're no longer in that role of giving them directives. It's more of a coaching position at that point. And it's only if they ask you to coach them, then you have to just relinquish your right to be in control in totality and say, you know what, I'm not their coach. I'm going to, ask that there be somebody else that manifests like it was with me on my journey, to help guide the compass of their life, because that's all it is. It's just a compass. We'd have to ask for a new compass to guide the course of their life, a compass that is healthy and strong and valuable, and a compass that could make certain that their life is reflective of something healthy and impactful, as opposed to something that would be more chaos and calamity and confusion for them to, be connected to or bonded with. So, it's a rough thing to accept, but at the same time, it's the most imperative thing that we have to do as parents. It's literally the butterfly effect, because once that cocoon is formed, they've got to wrestle through their journey to be able to come forth, because ultimately it's going to end in death. And it doesn't have to end in natural death, but there'll be a spiritual aspect of death that they'll experience, or a physical aspect of death that they'll experience, or a psychological, whatever the case might be. They'll experience premature death because you did not position them to live, not just to be alive, but to live. And then, when they come in, the only time, I'll give you a perfect example, like for my son, the only time my son is going to lean into me for something is after he's exhausted every single source there possibly is. If the phone rings and it's him, it's because every source that he possibly could have tapped into has been exhausted. There's no way he even feels comfortable asking me because of how I prepare that way. So, and then I have to, like Jason said, I have to ask myself, is this my right? Even if I am the last resort, am I supposed to be the net to catch him? Or am I supposed to let him just, you gotta hit your head this time, kid? So you still have to make sure that, even though you know that in the back of your mind, you still got to say, is this something I'm supposed to do? Or am I supposed to relinquish my right to be in control? And they got to fall at this point. So some of that is a matter of you just kind of like having that clarity internally as to what it is you need to do. And it's another thing, it's the oxygen mask effect. You got to keep the mask on yourself before you can help somebody else. So you don't ever want to run out of oxygen because you're picking up somebody else to make sure that they're breathing, even if it is your seed. So it's a lot to consider and contemplate, but you got to deal with it. You got to address it. And then you got to, sometimes you have to go in your corner and just deal with the emotional aspect of, I'm watching my child go through this particular thing. And it may be painful to witness, but it may just have to be the pain of their process, because we don't know what their process is. All we were only a instrument being used to transport them from one place to the other. That's all we are. We're nothing more than a transportation service. And once they've been transported, we have to know that there'll be another transportation service that's going to pick them up where we drop them off.
Yeah. And the biggest thing that I saw, and even picturing when all of you are giving example into what your role is, I see a lot of times in our culture how we are overextending, overplaying our roles out of trauma. This is really not something we're doing even from a healthy place. So we're not only suffocating ourselves, but we're keeping them in bondage, because we will not allow what was already in God's plan for their lives, for our family. We won't allow it to just naturally be, because we're trying to play their God. We're trying to control and be over the be all end all for everybody while we're drowning ourselves. But it's all really out of trauma. It's a traumatic experience that we've either gone through, seen, heard, but we are really setting them up for failure because we don't even know the way. We're not sure. We're not clear on who we are, where we're going, what our purpose is. And then we're just putting that on somebody else. And so we need to understand, even as a parent, although it may be hard to relinquish that control or to turn over the idea that this is not my position anymore. I am overextending myself in this role as a mom or a dad, and I need to take a step back because we need to go heal a lot of times. We need to do the healing, and we are not doing that enough because, we just don't know. We are illiterate in so many areas when it comes to creating, platforms and positions and moving along with, offering generational wealth. I know I've had conversations about generational wealth and providing a place for, my children to have when I'm no longer here, and I've been hit with, I ain't leaving nothing for nobody, like that ain't my business.
Right.
That's on them.
I wanted to add, even in our families, especially if you're like the older sibling or, the older cousin, you can find yourself trapped in that position or that role that you didn't ask for. And it's like everybody coming to you and everybody's looking to you for the answer for this and for that. I was there, and it very much so was out of trauma and people pleasing, not knowing myself and all the things. And I would never forget when I finally was like, I'm not doing this. I don't know who signed me up for this, but I don't want it. And it took a lot for me to drop all of that baggage. I had my sister, my brothers, my cousins, everybody. And I'm like, what is going on? I don't want this. I don't know why everybody keep coming to me, but phone on D&D, because we not doing that. And as I grew out of that, I had to start having those tough conversations. Like, listen, you need to go dwell in the spirit or get a therapist or whatever you have to do. But I cannot hold that type of space, because I found myself not having the capacity to hold space for anyone, not even for myself. So now it's like I'm in a space where I don't feel the necessary need to.
You're on mute.
You accidentally muted yourself.
Muted yourself. Oh, baby talking. Hey.
Yes.
They were like, wait, mama, hold on. What's this?
I heard that little squeaky sound in the background.
Yeah.
It's past your bedtime now.
Listen, you supposed to have been retired a little while ago, ma'am.
Yes. Then she hear coffee. Is that coffee? Is that Miss Coffee?
Talk to her tomorrow. You need to be in bed.
Talk to her tomorrow. We got about 90 seconds, Dr. Shamika.
But yes, so I want us, I hope that in this conversation we are understanding of the weight that we may carry as we play roles in our families. If you are not sure of what role it is that you play and where you should go from here, I need you to explore that, because clarity will bring about changes and differences in how we handle our families. We need to be sure of who we are, where we're going, what we're doing, because again, we're all bosses and we have places to be, but we can't get there if we're not sure. So whatever that weight is, relinquish it, let it go. It's not yours to carry anyway. So I had a good time with y'all. I had a good time.
I love it. And it's more to this. So it'll be part 2. Hopefully we'll get to it next week if Dr. Shamika can conclude for us in part 2, because it's a lot more to unpack of this discussion for sure. Yeah. But thank y'all for tuning in and tapping in for another edition of this week's P. Koffe Brown Show with these amazing co-panelists of mine. I cannot do what I do without them. So I honor and salute them for always being here to take the journey with me. All right, y'all. Grace and peace. We'll see you all again for another episode of the P. Koffe Brown Show.
Understood. But you look amazing. You don't look too bad yourself, birthday boy.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
You ready?
Whenever you want.
All right.